So, did you play rugby?
Tried to.
Yeah, I tried to. Yeah, I played until I was about 25, 26, so I was a halfback and a fullback. I wasn't very good at fullback because I had no pace, so every time I ran into the line there'd be a big gap and it would close as soon as I got into it. So, yeah, I tried hard as a halfback, played some red rugby when I was at age group level, and then played probably 4 seasons of Premier Rugby, but surprise, surprise, kept getting injured because I'm not the biggest man in the world. So yeah, that's pretty much how I got into refereeing, really.
Right. How old were you when you started refereeing?
I started refereeing when I was 26.
School lunch too, you see.
Okay, so at what stage did you believe that refereeing could be a real possibility for you?
Yeah, I mean, so when I first started refereeing, I had every intention of going back playing. So I got injured halfway through my club season, and thought, well, I'll just fill in for a little bit, and with the intention of starting to play the following season. And I kind of must have gone okay-ish in that first season. I was lucky I ended up doing a couple of age group rep games at the end of that year, and then I sat down and basically thought, well, I'm never going to make it as a player because, to be honest, I was pretty average. And yeah, I just thought, well,
know the feeling.
And probably I went into a couple of like regional zone squads, and then at the end of 1999, I basically got tapped on the shoulder from like a wider New Zealand training group, and they just said, "Oh, look, you've got some potential." And it was probably then I thought to myself, well, if I give this a really good nudge, potentially it could turn into a career. And there were some younger guys floating around, like Steve Walsh was going pretty well, and he was pretty young, so yeah, probably that motivated me to really give it a nudge.
So, any influences at that stage that sort of made you carry on?
I was very lucky. Like where I started refereeing, I had a guy called Stuart Weissel. So Stu's had a fair bit to do with him, who basically taught me how to crawl, walk, and run as a referee. So he was massive for me in my career. Kind of helped me form or not form bad habits. As someone like, we all know how important it is to have a good referee coach, and I was really, really fortunate because I had someone who guided me really, really well in my early days, so I didn't go out there and kind of just fumble my way through. He took me from when I finished playing and just pretty much showed me everything I had to do, so I was really, really lucky from that. So he was a massive influence for me. And then, yeah, I suppose I looked at guys that were in the professional panel, and the closer I got to mixing with those guys, they were really good back to me, and gave me a lot of advice. Guys like Steve, Paddy, Borky, and those guys that were sitting at the top of the tree, they were really good to give back, so they were big influences too.
So, just while we're talking, I notice you watch. Tell us about the watch and the watches.
I suppose when you're fortunate enough to referee Six Nations, depending on who the watch sponsor is for that particular competition, they'll give us a watch that we have to wear. So the last year I did Six Nations TISOC, so we got given a TISOC watch, which was really nice. The year before that was really good. There was a company called Graham, and the watches we were given were £6,500. And there was always a standing joke amongst the referees because they always gave you the watch and they said, you cannot lose it because you won't get another one next year. Half of the panel would always lose it and they get another one. George Clancy's got 3 of them, so.
Okay. So, with your refereeing, you've been able to go all around the world and referee at great stadiums. You've refereed in Brisbane, Sydney, Perth, Melbourne, Apia, Hong Kong, Cardiff, London, Gloucester, Exeter, Newcastle, of course, all the great stadiums in New Zealand,
Where's Cape
Cape
Town?
Park. So it's yeah, and Painted Domain and Woodhall Park.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's your favourite stadium and why, and probably your least favourite and why?
One more part. Least favourite.
Only one. Like there's probably 3 stadiums that I've loved refereeing across my career. Aviva Stadium in Ireland, Dublin, probably because it was where I did my first Six Nations game. It's a really, the stadium itself is amazing, and yeah, it's just a special kind of. It was a game that I really liked, and a couple of stadiums in South Africa are pretty amazing. So Loftus Versfeld in Pretoria, just because of the tradition that goes with that stadium. And the madness of the Ball supporters. Like I remember going to a game there, and my first game, and you're going down the road, and these guys wearing these construction hats with these big bull horns out the side of them, and they're about 4 times my size. They're these big men, and they're very passionate. So you get a great atmosphere out of that. And the other one in South Africa that I love is Newlands in Cape Town. So for those that have ever been lucky enough to go to South Africa. The Cape Colours down in South Africa, for some reason, love supporting New Zealand teams. And one of my most memorable games I've ever done was Crusaders playing the Stormers, and we stayed in the same hotel as the away team. So we followed the Crusaders bus in, and when you pull up, the whole place where the bus pulls in is just going mental. And I remember turning to the liaison guy going, "Are these guys supporting the Crusaders?" And he's going, "Yeah," and they just love it. And then in the stands, they were having, not that I condone this, but they were having fights amongst their supporters. So the atmosphere is just mad. You've got half the stadium in South Africa going for the Crusaders, and the other half going for the Stormers. So it just ends up being like, it was pretty amazing, pretty special. In terms of stadiums I hate, I don't use that word lightly. Shark Park in Devon is a tough place to go. So I probably dislike it because I probably had my worst game of Super Rugby there. It's one of the reasons. And not only that, when you're standing on the sideline, it's the stands are so steep. It's kind of like you look up and it feels like the guys are encroaching and they're looking down on top of you. So you feel like the crowd is right on top of you. And when the Sharks are losing and you're not having a great day at the office, they let you know well and truly. So it's not a great place to be when things aren't going well. Okay, mate. Hardest player to referee.
Rito.
There's 2 of them. Jimmy Cowan, without a doubt. And surprise, the other one's a halfback guy called Steve Devine. So just wouldn't shut up, always got an opinion, always think you're wrong. So they're always pretty tough blokes to referee. So it was funny because we went to a World Rugby seminar, and one of the kind of topics we were talking about is, do you have bogey teams? And me being naive and young, had this thing, I put my hand up and go, yep, I've got a bogey team, it's the Highlanders, and it was all to do with Jimmy Cowan. I'm sitting in the room with the likes of Nigel Owens and Wayne Barnes and Elaine Rolland, and they're all going, we don't have a bogey team, and I'm sitting there going, oh, bullshit. Everyone's got a bogey team, and I think just Jimmy Cowan always got under my skin. As soon as he left the Highlanders, I felt like I could go down there and actually referee.
That's when they started winning, wasn't it?
Okay, any captains, the best ones to deal with and the worst ones to deal with? John Smith from South Africa was amazing to deal with. Like, he's very articulate, knows when to ask a question, knows how to influence you. He was a really good to deal with. I didn't have much to do with Richie. I hardly ever refereed him, but the time I did, he was very much like that. Conrad Smith, another one, really good, articulate, knows how to ask questions. I enjoyed Ali Williams when he was captain, believe it or not.
Ali and my relationship stemmed probably from my first super game. I did the Highlanders Blues, and believe it or not, the Highlanders actually won that day. But the Blues, they were like 4 points behind or 3 points behind, and they were attacking. And there was line out throw, and I missed Ali getting pulled down twice in a row, these 2 line outs. And as I blew for full time, he's given me my pedigree, basically told me and what my parents are. So it was great. Came right across the mic, so it was good. And I was sitting there in my debut going, yeah, I've had a great start. So I was quite good mates with Joe Smith, who was the assistant coach for the Highlanders. So I rang Joe and said, mate, how do I deal with this? He goes, why don't you give Ali a ring? So I rang him up on a Tuesday. We had a really good chat, and that was the beginning of quite a good relationship. Like he said, oh, sorry, I shouldn't have blown up at you like I did, and I said, yeah, I should have been better and been able to get it. So, and then just moving forward, he was always pretty funny and good to deal with. Like I remember, this is before he was captain. One day he taught me a great lesson. Like I knew I got to know him pretty well, and I was setting a line out, and I'm sitting there going, 5, move over. Just stood there. Here we go. 5, move over. I said it like 3 times, and he turned around and goes, Polly, my name's Ali. And I went, yeah, fair enough. So, and that's probably one of the big lessons I learned from him was, look, if you've got a relationship with someone, you just got to treat them like a normal human being, and that's sometimes we get caught up as referees trying to be too dictatorial and we lose our human face.
Now I think this next question, nobody will disagree with. When we see you on TV, you've always got a smile on your face. You're out there looking like you're really enjoying it. So, give us some funny moments out there.
Have you seen that?
Yeah, I've got a couple that spring to mind. Ben Robinson, that plays for the Waratahs. So I was doing Waratahs Hurricanes in Sydney, and they were probably 15 out from the goal line. For some reason, their halfback had ended up in the ruck, so he ends up as playing halfback, picks up the ball, goes to clear it, misses, throws it over the top of the first 5, and the fullback has to run around, pick it up, and clears for touch. As we're running to the line out, I said to Ben, hey mate, don't give up your day job. He said, yeah, don't you give up yours either. So I thought that was very quick. And then another really good one, just from the second to last game in the Hurricanes Blues game. So Reggie Goods, he just made this pretty big tackle on somebody, and we're running to the scrum, and it's being showed on the big screen, and he's standing there watching it. James Parsons turns around and says to him, Reggie, mate, stop looking at yourself on the big screen. It's not your highlights reel. and then just quick as anything, Reggie turns around and goes to him, mate, don't be jealous because you don't ever have any highlights. I just thought that was brilliant.
Cheers. Other than injuries, highs and lows out there on the field.
I mean, I've been lucky. I think refereeing is a lot about luck at times. So I've got a lot of highs, like all my debuts. So as I've come through the ranks, whether it be ITM Cup debut, Super Rugby debut, Six Nations debut, Test debut, all those are all massive highs. Going to World Cups. But funnily enough, probably one of my biggest highs is also one of my biggest lows. So 2013, I was lucky enough to do the first test of the British and Irish Lions in Australia, and it was an amazing experience. Like it's hard to describe. I've been involved in a lot of high test rugby, or high level test rugby, and going to that game and being in Brisbane that week was just something else. Like you guys will get to experience it next year when the Lions come. The travelling fans are amazing, and that was wicked. I remember going on a Thursday night, me and Glenn Jackson went for a wander to get some food in Brisbane. We walked past this Irish pub, and it was just a sea of red bouncing up and down, and this was like at 7 o'clock at night, and that was what it was like for the whole time there. And then we get to the ground, half the stadium is red, probably more. The Lions come out to do their warm-up, you know, they start their team run and the whole place just erupts and goes mental, and you sit there going, this is something special. You know, you don't get that every week. And then for me, I felt like the game went pretty well. I remember walking off afterwards into the changing room, sitting down to Craig, Jabir, and going, yeah, pretty happy. It was only my 6th kind of tier 1 test, so it was a pretty big test for me. I was pretty inexperienced. And then probably within about an hour, I kind of got wind of there was something that wasn't quite right. And for those of you in the room that can really remember, I penalised Brian Driscoll a couple of times. One of them was clearly wrong. He was pretty pissed about, and they got blown up in the media. I made a couple of other, you know, just poor calls, but they would, you know, that just happens as a referee. Warren Gatlin went into the press conference, absolutely slated me, and probably in hindsight he's gone in to try to influence Craig for the 2nd test. And then the whole British media were just into me, and I was stuck there for the next 3 weeks. So I touched those the 2nd test, and then touched those the 3rd test, and on tour. And I had a really good relationship with Gax, because he's coached New Zealand. He didn't come anywhere near me in the changing room before the 2nd test or the 3rd test. So he probably knew he'd gone a little bit outside of what he should have, and that impacted really bad for me. I came home, I was really struggling with this. The first time I'd really kind of taken a hiding in the media, and it was a good hiding. Like, you know, like if you Google my name, I would have done it, I think the first 6 pages are related to that game, you know. So yeah, it really blew me away how big an occasion it was and how much went with it. So I came back to New Zealand, and there was one more round robin of Super Rugby left, and I was the Blues Chiefs, and I got a phone call on the Wednesday or Thursday night from the referee manager for Sanzo, and he said, look, you've had a great season, as long as you referee all right on Saturday night, you'll do a semi-final in Super. So it went great. I remember turning up to Eden Park that night, and I just wasn't in the right headspace. I remember sitting in the changing room saying to my 2 ARs, I just can't be bothered, I just don't want to go out tonight. And I went out and refereed like an absolute ass. Like, I gave a red card for nothing, made a number of poor decisions, and surprisingly I got dropped from the playoffs, so it just spiraled out of control. And it was a pretty tough time for me. You know, like I'm a pretty emotional kind of guy, so I battled with it. But being one of the toughest times, it also gave me some great learnings. So I was lucky enough to get access to Gilbert Onoka, who's the mental skills coach with the Heavyweights, and he gave me a couple of pearls of wisdom in about a 30-minute conversation. And through that, I was able to park it and learn some great skills how to cope with certain things. And I think I became a better referee because of it. And every referee sitting in the room can relate to this. You've got to go through some tough times to get better. So, you know, sometimes you have that bad day at the office, and that's actually the best thing that can happen for you. So, yeah.
Now we all know that you've had issues with injuries, and all credit to you, mate. You had big surgery the other year, and you came back, fought hard, got back on top, doing top grade again. Has this been any influence at all in your decision in retiring?
Yeah, it's probably no secret that I have had plenty of injuries, though. I've probably spent more time at Tap Physio than everybody in this room put together, so massive thank you for them to keep me going to start with. But yeah, like I had my hip replaced in 2014. And I've been really lucky with that surgery. It went really well, but for whatever reason, Mum and Dad have given me not the best genes, because the other hip's about to go as well. So yeah, I kind of knew that I couldn't keep going, and I want to try and look after the other hip for as much as I can without having to get it replaced. So having one metal hip is okay. I don't think I'll be that great with two though. So simple answer, yeah.
Alright. So your best advice to aspiring young, well, don't have to be young, but aspiring referees?
Best bit of advice I'd give you is be yourself. I think that's a lesson I've learned over the 10 or 11 years I've been refereeing at professional level, is the more you can be yourself on the field, the better you're going to be. When you try to be somebody else, or you look at a referee that you're aspiring to be and you think, oh, that attribute, I want to be like that, as opposed to just being you. And the reason why I think that's so important is because when you come under pressure, you're a veer type. So if you're trying to be someone else and the pressure comes on, inevitably you're going to fail. So just be comfortable with who you are. We've all got different strengths, and don't be afraid to use those strengths. You know, for me, I'm a people's person, so I love dealing with people. I love having interactions with people. So for me, when I go to referee, I know that that's the way that I am. Like, you compare me with someone like Bryce Lawrence. We're very different people. He's not a massive people's person on the field, so he reacts a lot differently to what I do. And so just try and be yourself.
Cool, thanks mate. So okay, is anybody out there got a question or two for young Chris?
Go Rito, go on. Go on Rito. Come on, just do it.
That young lady in the front there, with her father.
Do you get influence on the field by any of the players, the decisions that you've made or made on the field?
You are.
It's a very
I'm
good question.
videoing.
I'd like to think that we don't, but tips, did you influence the water boy?
Have you ever been influenced by a water boy?
I think we'd be lying if you hear everything that people say, you know, like the players especially, and if you got someone like Richie McCaw screaming at you saying this and that, you'd be silly not to take a moment to think, has he got a fair point? You know, and I think it's when and I've had this conversation with someone in this room, when we put up a blank wall and don't actually want to engage in that, you know, I think that's when you can potentially get yourself in trouble by just trying to be too staunch. So sometimes, like, players know when they're right and when they're wrong, and they know when you're right and when they're wrong, you know, and there's nothing, also I don't think there's anything wrong with when you're in the middle of a game being able to go, sorry, I got that wrong, and just admitting it and showing that you're human. But to answer your question, you probably try to think that you don't, but I reckon you do. Yeah, I'm a teacher by trade. I wouldn't say I overly enjoy actually in the classroom. I teach maths, believe it or not. I'm not great at it. But
Give him a maths question.
But what I do really enjoy about being at school is I love working with the young men at our school and helping them and trying to mentor them and trying to get them to be better people. So that's something that I really enjoy, and I've taken a role with Hawke's Bay Rugby, which I'm really excited about, really looking forward to. Trying to help with the players' professional development outside of their playing kind of career, trying to get them ready for life after rugby whenever that happens. I've got some other passions, like I'm pretty analytical, so one day I'd love to try to get into a role with Sanzar around doing some analysis for the Super Rugby referees, and I'm doing a little bit of coaching, so looking forward to trying to help and grow that.
What do you enjoy outside rugby in life? It's got to be something else.
I'm too busy, I think. I'm a mad surfer. I love surfing, so that's my passion. And I love living in the bay, but the one thing I hate is it's not New Plymouth, and that's where I'm from. And you got 40 odd surf breaks on your back door in the Naki, whereas here it's pretty tough to find a wave. So I keep trying to tell my wife we've got to move, but I'm having no joy with that, to be honest. So there's that. I used to love doing multi-sport, but with hips like mine, that ain't going to happen. So get to shelve that.
What position did you play when you worked at? You went very good?
Halfback. A yappy halfback. Pretty much.
Go on, Rito, ask him a maths
A yappy
question.
halfback.
Ask me this question, it'd be quite funny.
Beauty. Thanks, Chris. We appreciate you giving us time to come up here. We appreciate the way you've represented New Zealand in your refereeing. And even this year, the reports back.
Just got your bald
from
head,
seniors
Jared.
that you have refereed at local, a guy of your calibre, being out there and showing up on the field. It's put a lot into their heart and soul for playing their game. So big ups to you, mate. Thanks very much, and I'm sure that we will see you again next year.
I just quickly before I finish, like I just want to say, like, I mean, I've been in Hawke's Bay for 6 years, and I know I haven't been massively visible. Would be probably the best way within our association. But I'm very keen to change that in the next few years. Before I move to Taranaki. So yeah, I'm looking forward to getting out and trying to help a few more of you guys as referees become better referees and hopefully achieve the goals that you want to through coaching and mentoring and running a few sessions and helping Groube a little bit more. So yeah, I want to say thanks for tonight. Cheers.